Hi there, thank you for joining me. So today we've got a bit of a unboxing or unpacking video. This has just been delivered to me by the nice Amazon person, which is great. And it's Easter Monday here, so it's bank holiday, so relaxing. So before I begin, I'll just say cheers to you. Sparkling water, lovely. So, yes, Amazon have very kindly delivered this, and I very kindly bought myself this for it to be delivered today. And I was online a couple of weeks ago, and let me just open this a sec. Right, through to the next bit. Smiley face. Hopefully it's going to be a smiling face and not a sad face. I was online and I saw that there was a video, like an animation made of the Deep Purple song Smoke on the Water. And I thought, why would you suddenly make a video? And it looks a cool animation, you know, it looked really, really cool. Why would you suddenly make that now? I mean, I was a bit confused. Then I didn't do much digging. Something else came up on my YouTube feed. Obviously, I'm a Deep Purple fan. And it came up that they were re-releasing Machine Head. I think it's 50 years or something on from when it first appeared in 1972. So I thought, great, because that album for me meant a lot. And anybody who knows me and has watched my channel knows, you know, out of the three, like Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, the three mammoth bands of the early 70s, my favourite's always been Deep Purple. I mean, I own records by the other two bands, and I rate them, and they're brilliant. But just for me, the lineup of Deep Purple, especially the Mark II lineup, and the inclusion of the Hammond organ, like I've said to people, you know, the thing about Led Zeppelin for me was that when you watch them live, obviously John Paul Jones either plays keyboards or he plays bass, but when he's doing one or the other one's missing. And of course, if it's the bass, things sound kind of weak. Whereas Purple, they had everything. We had the lead guitarist, we had the Hammond organ player, we had the bass player, we had the drummer, and the lead singer, who sometimes played congas too. And it was just their sort of mix of rock with classical and jazz, and the way they improvised. I know some people now think, oh, those 20-minute jams, it's quite, you know, over the top and a bit ego grandstand. But that's how it was then. Things were coming out of the 2 and 3 minute pop song, which the 60s, you know, helped to invent, and the 50s, of course. But it's like the younger people coming through that Beatles and Stones revolution and the Who, maybe a bit more kind of, how could we say, they were more tutored in playing their instrument, you know, and they wanted to bring in other elements to the music, just as, you know, as the Beatles did with Eleanor Rigby with strings and all that business. You know, they wanted to bring in various classical elements within their solos. And, you know, solo for long periods of time, a bit like jazz musicians were doing. And it was, you know, the fusion of jazz funk was just happening, late 60s, early 70s. You know, and all these musicians were listening to all kinds of music. But, you know, they were a rock band. But when you watch interviews, they were listening to all kinds of music, you know, so influenced by that. And then they were trying to put it in their modern day of what it would have been then, modern day version of what they were doing. And for me, I first discovered, my dad had 24 Karat Purple, which was just like a little best of. And on the back, they had all the different albums. And I saw like In Rock, which is over there. And I got Made in Japan here. I've got loads of the albums, but I can't seem to find them. I don't know where they are. So I can only put that one up. We've got Rich and Roach here, and David Bowie here, and Buddy Rich and Ravi Shankar over there. And then a single of Gary Newman down there. And I remember thinking, God, who is this band? And he caught me playing it one day, and he was like, oh, you need to get the Deep Purple Concerto for Group and Orchestra. He said, I had it. It's a great album. Great drum solo on it. And again, I wasn't convinced, but I was like, okay. And I was listening to Woman from Tokyo, and obviously Smoke on the Water was on there. And I was like, oh yeah, this band sounds cool, you know, it's okay. But it wasn't until I went out one Saturday with my mum, and for once I didn't buy a Beatle album or something, or a Monkees record. And I bought that. I remember coming home and just holding it, the sleeve, and going through the gatefold. Again, that's down there somewhere. Going, this is amazing. And Ian Pace's drum solo. So, you know, straight away I was in, and I loved the sound of the Hammond, and Dad had played me some Jimmy Smith and stuff, and I loved the Hammond. But because it was in a rock band rather than a jazz thing, because remember, I was only 9 or 10, jazz wasn't floating my boat, really. Though I was listening to it for Dad's sake, you know. But yeah, hearing Ian Pace play reminded me of Philly Joe Jones and Buddy Rich, because he had that fast hands, and he'd do a hi-hat solo, and Anyway, it was just really, really cool. And I fell in love with them. And then it would be every Saturday, instead of, as I say, buying a record by someone else, or Gary Newman or whoever, I'd be buying Deep Purple records. And I remember buying Machine Head, which is the one that we're going to talk about today. And just from the minute I dropped the needle on and heard Highway Star to the last bit of Space Truckin' on side 2, it was like, 50 minutes or whatever it would have been, 45 minutes of just pure joy, hearing rock drums played that way, hearing Ian's voice, the way he could do that really loud scream. And because he was opera trained, he had, great control of his voice. Richie Blackmore's really angular guitar playing, John Law's great solos and really funky bass playing, of Roger Glover keeping it all together, all happening. It was just really exciting times. And my mates would listen to it, and it just felt a bit rebellious in the late 70s, early 80s when I was listening to it. It felt like a real thing. So when they said it was the 50th anniversary, or the anniversary edition of this album coming out, here it is, Machine Head. I said I've got to get it because it's a really important part of my learning. Look at that picture. I mean, if you don't know the story of how this album was created and why Smoke on the Water was written, there are plenty of documentaries online. I'm not going to be yet another person to talk about how they went to record in the casino and Frank Zappa's band was playing and someone shot a flare going up into the roof. It caught fire. I'm doing it. Go and check it out because it's a true story and it must have been pretty crazy. And then he ended up recording this album in a hotel. And you can see Ian Pace is in a little alcove between rooms, and there's like mattresses and or drapes over the hallways where they're recording, so the sound, is a bit more kind of controlled and stuff. Anyway, so this is what we got inside. A lot of bumper stuff. Some people online moaning they didn't want the vinyl, but you get everything in this. I mean, I have been collecting the Prince box sets. I've got the Sign of the Times one there in 1999. And I haven't really collected the Beatle ones, but I've got the Revolver one because that's my favourite album, and I'm wearing the T-shirt today. But I haven't got the Sgt. Pepper box set or the White Album or Abbey Road, which is, I don't know why, but I'm not that fussed to get them for some reason. But this, I just thought, yeah, I've got to have it. So there we have it. That's what it's looking like. And I didn't watch too many sort of spoiler videos because I wanted to wait till I got it myself, to be honest. I've seen a few things. But anyway, it looks great and it's all involved. But what do we get? We get the gatefold LP, 3 CDs and a Blu-ray, Purple Smoke vinyl, which would be cool. The remix is by Dweezil Zappa, for obvious reasons, because of how the album was created, for the casino burning down with his dad's band, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of cool. It's a new remaster from an original analog CD. And there's a previously unreleased live CD, which I'm looking forward to hearing. A 1972 concert, which I think I've got on vinyl anyway. Blu-ray with Atmos mixes, blah, blah, blah. Booklet with new essay. Photos from recording session, lyric poster, blah, 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 blah. All that kind of stuff. Right, so there we go. Just about to pile in. There's the spines. And yeah, as I say, so Deep Purple just spoke to me a little bit more than Sabbath and Zepp, Though, as I say, I've still got records by both bands, and it's all good, isn't it? But for me, Purple was my band. So, here's our booklet, which we'll go through in a minute. Very nice pictures, lovely Ludwig kit. Looks like it's got a double tom holder. Yes, it has. And that's obviously smaller sizes, 22, 13, 16, 18, or 2 16s. But live, you played like a 24, 26, 16-inch rack tom, 18 and 20-inch floor tom. But of course, in a live situation, that's fine. And on Made in Japan, they sound amazing, those drums. But in a studio situation, they're just going to be too big, So obviously, he's carrying around a smaller set. And actually online the other day, and if I can find it, I'll pin it now on here. I saw a picture of him, I guess it was in one of his rooms at home in his house, with an 18-inch Ludwig. Again, it's the same colour, silver sparkle, but it's like an 18, 12 and a 14 floor, like a little jazz kit. And he's just obviously just practicing his chops and stuff. But I thought that was pretty cool. If I find it, I'll pin it up. If I can't find it, apologies. But you'll probably be able to find it somewhere. So there's our book. This is a lyric sheet, which apparently came with the original album. Mine was like an 80s repressing, so I don't think I got it. I've never seen a lyric sheet with it, but apparently back in the day it did come with that. And here's the album. Nice, lovely gatefold sleeve. Gatefold sleeve. which if you've got the original, you know these pictures were all in the original, but mine was black and white. I don't think it was purple tinged. So maybe that's new, this tint that's on here. And they've also included When a Blind Man Cries, which for many years, a lot of fans were complaining that it was done on the sessions, but was only ever released as a B-side or something. But yeah, so we've got all these different discs. Deep Purple Machine Head, this is the remix and the remaster there. Groovy. Looking forward to hearing that. I did a few spoilers. I did hear that people were saying the drums are clearer. And of course, like with Revolver and any print stuff that I get, I want to hear what the drums are doing on those outtakes and things, you know, a bit of an anorak, but of course, all the instrumentation. But, you know, I'm a drummer, so I'm going to be kind of really into what the drums are doing. So this is Deep Purple in concert. This is the one I think I want to hear. They did Maybe I'm a Leo at the sound check. Check that. No, exciting. It's one of my favourite tunes on this album. Of course, this was the period of time, I guess, and again, not long after the heady days of the 60s, where I suppose you just play, not necessarily hits, but the ones people know. So their live set was a lot of the same stuff, whereas there were tunes like Bloodsucker and Maybe I'm a Leo, which did get an outing sometimes, but not as much as I would have liked. But then in later years, obviously, they've done them. They've been through the catalogue, and Mary Long and things like that, and Rat Bat Blue is a great tune. So it's nice to see them doing other tunes. I get excited when I see a bootleg of them doing other stuff. I like that Swiss yodel. Yeah, looking forward to this. I think that's the one that I've not heard, actually. I think the one I pulled out is the one that I've heard before. I think it was a BBC recording. I've got it on vinyl. I think it was called Deep Purple in Concert or something. I'm trying to do this quickly. I can never do this quickly, can I? It's 12 minutes now, see. And that's Deep Purple Machine Head Blu-ray Atmos mix. My friend Steve, the MD of Susie's band, anyone who came to see us play, you would see him doing all the auxiliary work and running the computers. He's the brains of the band, if you like. He does Atmos mixes and stuff, and it's fascinating, you know. If you put your headphones on in that world, you'll hear it. I'm not that fussed, but I guess I will put headphones on at some point. This is cool, lovely, and it's got the little plastic bit inside. If I was a real anorak, I'd know what they call this when they polylining, is it? I don't know, but it's a good thing. Get it on all the Prince ones, but you don't always get it on some things. Oh, no, that's quite sexy. Purple vinyl, marble vinyl. Yes, lovely. The original engineer was Martin Birch, indeed it was. I think he did all those early Purple albums, I believe. Great. I'm really looking forward to hearing what the drums are doing. Of course, all of it, but it's going to be one of those things, like when I heard Revolver, I think I said on that unboxing, and I came back on a bit later after I played a few things. I do love the old remix and the remaster, and you can hear a bit more of this, but sometimes it does take away from just how it sounded originally. I guess you could say it's like demo-itis. You're used to it, so you think that's how it should be. But I don't know, there's something about, a bit like when you've got a record and it jumps or has a little in the grooves, and you know it's there. It's like when you listen to one that isn't there, you still hear it. Maybe it's a bit of all that sort of vinyl nonsense, I don't know. But, you know, I'm looking forward to hearing it. I still always love my original one, which is around somewhere, because it was the first one I bought. And I'd be there at sort of 11, 12 years old, holding it, going, this drumming. And seeing we're here, let's just quickly talk about that. I mean, if you're going to go through the tracks, things for me that really stick out. I love his fills in Maybe I'm a Leo. It's a very sort of slow, mid-tempo to slow sort of groove, kind of funky, and his fills on that are great. Again, maybe one could say slightly over the top, but really inventive. It wasn't over the top in 1972. In the 80s, when people were playing songs like that, they just play straight through it. Of course, you know, it was more about the song and the guitar solo. But back in 72, it wasn't. Everyone got a bit of a look in, so that's good. So drummers, you could check that out. The fill at the start of Pictures of Home, which is the following track, actually on side one, incredible. You know, I think it's triplets. I think it's like the Bonham thing, but I think he's bouncing his right hand at times on the snare because it sounds like it's going rather than just a single hit. I'd love to, I don't think he would remember. Ian Pace always says, I don't remember what I played, a bit like Ringo and that. I just played it and it was recorded, and if we got it, great. If not, I'll do something different, which is going to be equally as good. But yeah, that intro, and I think it's slightly longer on one of these mixes, apparently. But again, I don't know if I want that. I just want to hear the original, but stunning playing, and the toms just sound fantastic. Never Before, good tune. Smoke on the Water, yep. Lazy when the blind man. Space Trucking is the next one I'll just quickly pop to, because he does like an overdub where he plays like the groove and track that, and then he does a take where he's taking the snare off, so everything sounds a bit more Tommy, if you like, and his snare's more like a timbale, and he does overdubs, like an overdub solo, which of course they didn't do live because they couldn't, unless there was two Ian Paces. But on the recording, it's really cool, and I actually talk about that in a masterclass, which will appear soon. But I can't say too much about that. Yeah, brilliant. And Highway Star, yeah, he's playing on that. Is of course amazing. I love his version, the Made in Japan version, because for me, Highway Star is like a forerunner to Burn, and some of the fills that he does in Burn, I know there's a lot more of them, but in Highway Star, he's doing a similar sort of fill between the verses into the next solo and stuff, you know, so you can already see that's already kicking off. So yeah, there we are. Looks like he's got a bottle of champagne on his floor tom there. Very nice. I won't go through all the book necessarily, but it's very nice. It's full of lovely pictures. There's John's keyboard in the hallway. It was so on the fly making this record. And like when you listen to all those 60s bands talking about how much they had to tour back in the day, and it was the same with the 70s bands, they were touring all the time. When did they get the chance to write? You know, it's unbelievable. So they had to sort of do this on the fly and to come up with something that was decent, because the one after this, Who Do We Think We Are, studio album that is, not live, doesn't really add up. I think there's about 3 good songs on it for me, and the others they just sound like they're a bit bored and a bit fed up, you know, which of course they were all falling out by then. There's Ian. Yeah, brilliant. There's loads of pictures around this time where he's playing with traditional grip. Traditional grip. He probably didn't on the sessions, but in the photo ops, you know, he's sometimes playing traditional grip, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that, because obviously he would have dug, he loved Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich, so he would have dug jazz drummers and probably tried it. And there's the famous fire, which we obviously know about. Hence why a few days later they wrote the song Smoke on the Water from what they saw. Yeah, great. I'm really looking forward to playing this, giving this a listen. I like things like that. I'm a real anorak. I love, in the Beatle books and Monkeys or whatever, I love seeing these were the singles that came out in different territories or whatever, you know, in different versions of. Love that. I love the Japanese Beatle singles as well. They just look so cool. That's nice. Close up of the kit for us anorak drummers. Look. You can see his Peisty 2002 ride. Look at that snare drum. The only bit that's pitted is in the middle, which is where it should be, because that's where you should be playing. Very good. Okay, and there's all your bump and stuff. But yes, okay, brilliant. Well, I'm looking forward to playing this. I'll give it a spin over the next few days, and I'll come back and tell you about it. I'm not going to do it today, because I've got other things to do today. But very excited. Well done, Deep Purple. I think it's Warner Brothers had more to do with it than they did, really. But thanks for releasing this as fans. We love this stuff. It'd be great to see a similar thing within rock. And yeah, for those of you who've got it, let me know what you think about it. Leave some comments down below. Yeah, I'm off to give this a spin. So I'll see you soon. Thanks for joining me. Happy Easter, and speak soon.